to stay on the screen until I know. Oh, okay, it says I'm streaming. Okay, so. Okay, Shannon, you can put us on the record.
Okay.
This is a matter of Treshak versus Treshak. David Treshak is present. Is that Junior? Is that Mr. Treshak Senior that's in the other screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, sorry, you didn't have your name on the screen. It just has the name of your device. Okay, so we are here today on David Jr.'s petition for issuance of a personal protection order. I denied it on an ex parte basis because I didn't believe there was a immediate threat of serious or irreparable harm, but that doesn't mean that that I thought the petition didn't have merit. So the correct procedure is what you followed through on. So what I will do is first hear from Mr. Treshak Jr. Testimony to determine whether or not it is necessary for the court to issue a personal protection order. And then Mr. Treshak Sr., once I've heard from him, then I will hear from you, and then I'll make my decision. What I would encourage each of you to do is, as you hear things you disagree with, simply make notes to yourself so that you remember to raise them when I give you the opportunity to speak. So because David Jr. is the moving party, I will hear from him first. So, sir, would you raise your right hand, please? You do swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
State your full name for the record.
David Michael Treshak Jr.
And I assume David Treshak Sr. is your father?
Correct.
Okay, and how long has it been since you resided in the same home together?
It's been about 2 years since I last lived there.
Okay. And tell me why it is that you believe you need a personal protection order against your father.
Well, it just comes down to harassment, really. I work third shift, so I work late at night. Sometimes I sleep if I don't have have to work. He will call me late at night, whether I'm at work or sleeping, leave messages, yelling, screaming. It's just tiresome, and I would just rather him stop.
What is he yelling and screaming about? So
the past time that he's called is about me breaking into his house while he was in jail. And that's basically it.
So he was upset at you for doing that and let you know that he was upset.
Yeah.
When's the last time that you got called by him?
The last date was December 10th of 2020.
All right. And prior to that, when was the date that you broke into his home?
Well, I didn't break in.
Broke into. I saw in your petition you have a key to go in. So
correct.
When was it that you let yourself into his home?
I believe December either 8th or 9th.
Okay. So prior to that, prior to this incident that made him upset most recently, when was the last time he subjected you to some kind of harassment?
I couldn't give you an exact date.
Can you even give me a ballpark?
No,
Are we talking days, weeks, months, years?
probably months.
All right. So until this incident, he hadn't been bothering you,
Correct.
but this incident obviously upset him, and he let you know that.
Yeah.
All right. Um, the reason you want the PPO is just to keep him from calling you at all hours of the night and harassing you.
Correct. I mean, if I had the number that he was using, I would just block the number, and that would take out half the ways he could reach me. However, he's calling me from an unknown number, so I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place on that.
So are these calls made to your cell phone?
Correct.
And your cell phone discloses unknown number as the caller?
Correct.
I see. And when that happens, pardon my ignorance, I know you can block numbers,
Correct.
but it's not possible to block unknown number.
Correct.
I got you. If you could do that, that would have probably solved the problem.
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. Mr. Trichek Sr., are there any other questions you would like me to ask your son?
Why he came into my house unannounced? He shouldn't have any keys to come in my house. He supposedly gave the keys back. And I come home and find my house all rifled through, things missing. I mean, I tried to call him when I was in jail to go get my car and things, and he would not speak with me. He told me I was a toxic individual and proceeded to tell me how.
All right, let me stop you.
Okay.
So I will ask you that question. Why did you enter your father's home while he was in jail?
To get the rest of my ex's things that were left upstairs when we were living there.
So you were living in your father's home along with your ex-wife, ex-girlfriend?
Ex-girlfriend.
Okay. And when did the two of you move out?
January of 2019.
So why did you wait until your dad was in jail to go in and retrieve those items?
Well, when her and I had moved out, he was very belligerent between us, screaming, hollering, just making absurd remarks, threats. And, he's a very difficult individual to be around. So when I found out that he was in jail, I just figured, hey, this is the best time to go get the remainder of those things.
Had you asked him for those items previously?
No, I didn't want to have any contact with him.
Okay. All right. Well, let me hear from your father now. Mr. Trichek Sr., would you raise your right hand, please? You do swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
State your full name, please. You can put your hand down.
David Michael Trichek Sr.
So, Mr. Trichek, you acknowledge that after you learned that your son had entered your house, that you called him and expressed your displeasure?
Well, yes, Your Honor, but it stems from a little bit more than that. When I was in jail, I had no one to go get my car or anything out of the parking lot, and I didn't want to, risk getting my car towed and all the expenses because I can't afford it. I tried to call him, and he told me he finally answered the phone after several attempts to get a hold of him, and told me I was a toxic individual and proceeded to tell me what kind of a bad parent I had been all my life. then he hung up on me. So I was left there with no one to get my car, no one to do anything. I don't have anyone. Well, luckily, I met someone that was in there that knew a good friend of mine, and she was able to get my vehicle. But then when I came home, like I said, I found my house in disarray, things missing. And he had marked things on my calendar and papers. I mean, and I got a little irate. So I called him about 1:15 in the morning when I got home. And that's really all there is to it. I mean, I had not had any contact with my son or spoke with him for over a year.
So from this point forward, you really have no reason to contact him. Is that correct?
There is no reason in the world I would contact him now.
And since this incident, when you found out he'd entered your home without your permission and things were missing, things disturbed, you haven't made any further attempts to try to contact him?
No, I have not. And nor will I.
Mr. Trichek Jr., are there any questions you'd like me to ask your father?
Nope.
All right. So PPOs, the purpose is certainly to protect people against a pattern of harassing behavior. They're also designed to protect against violent behavior, which doesn't appear that that's present in this case. Clearly, I understand why Senior was upset finding out that you had entered his home without his permission. And I understand, Junior, why you were upset that he was calling you at all hours of the night and basically, for what appears to be a pretty brief time period, harassing you. I don't believe there's an ongoing pattern of harassment here. I don't believe a PPO is necessary, but I will tell you, if there is repeated behavior in the future, if he does not follow what he's indicated to me today, that he has no plans of contacting you and no desire to have contact with you, but if he were for unexplained reasons to begin again a pattern of harassing you, I would certainly consider issuing a PPO in the future. I think we're talking about something that's limited to a very brief period of time. I understand both of your positions. I think you've both been truthful with me. I just don't believe under these circumstances a PPO is necessary. But again, if Miss Senior, in a show of triumph because I denied your PPO today, decides he wants to start harassing you, I would encourage you, file for another PPO request. I won't grant it on an ex parte basis, but if he's engaging in a pattern, certainly I would consider it in the future. I'm going to take him at his word today that he has no plans to contact you anymore. The incident that caused him to be upset with you is past, and even though clearly he's not happy about it, he's not desiring to have any more contact with you. So I'm going to deny the PPO.
Thank you.
Thank you both. You're welcome. Have a good day, gentlemen.
You too. Thank you very much.
Yes, I do.
You do. Okay.
Yes.
How do I end this?
Oh, I can end it for you, sir.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Small wonder he doesn't have anybody else to call. Sounds like he's alienated everybody. Okay, let's see. What do we got? Looks like Engblom. All right, let me get these people in. And I don't see Okay, looks like we've got everybody in now. This is the matter of Engblom versus Smith. It's actually up twice. One is for a PPO violation, and there's also a parenting time show cause. But I don't see Mr. Smith here. Have any of you had any contact with him?
I have earlier, Honor. I advised him of the hearing. Unfortunately, I did initially let him know it was 10:30 by accident because I believe most of these cases are heard at 10:30. So that was my error. But I did try to correct that last night, sent him an email letting him know it was at 10, but I have not heard from him.
Well, it's almost 10:30. We'll give him a few minutes. While we're waiting, Mr. Way, I thoroughly enjoyed the drubbing that our team gave to Minnesota last night. That was a pretty impressive display.
It's becoming a pretty regular thing these days, Judge.
They were talking about at the beginning of the game it being a battle of the bigs. The freshman player of the week a couple of times apparently, and the Big Ten player of the week facing off. And I would say the freshman dominated.
Yeah, I think he's won freshman of the week every week, and I think he might set a record this year. He's pretty awesome.
He was unstoppable. Get him the ball. Would he miss 2 shots all night?
Yeah, because he can pass it, and I mean he does a lot of things.
He's the whole package, and his defense is awesome.
Yeah, they're a good team. I don't know how you go about stopping them because they can beat you in just about every different way, which is it's great as a fan of the team. Certainly, I wouldn't want to coach against them and come up with a game plan.
It was fun to watch.
We at least found one alum who can really coach.
Yeah. So, Mr. Rosenthal, are you a basketball fan?
I am, Your Honor, but I went to Indiana for my undergrad, so I have a different team to root for. So, but I can at least say I'm old enough. I was there when Bobby Knight was there, so at least there was that.
Ooh.
Were you there when he threw the chair?
No, that was before my time. I was there when he had to be a little more politically correct and refrain himself from grabbing students.
Have you read the Season on the Brink book?
No, I have not, but I've wanted to.
It's really good. I think it's about it's been a while since I read it. The year, I think it's Steve Alford's senior year, maybe. Did they win the title that year?
Yeah, 87, I think is what it was. So.
Yeah, sometime in the 80s, I think. It's a great book. It was a fascinating read.
Yeah, he writes some really good books. I think he also wrote a Good Walk Spoiled, which was a golf book about he interviews. He's actually, I've listened to his interviews on radio. He actually has a really cool insight. He writes about the Army-Navy game too, about the traditions and the histories and dealing with the players and stuff like that and how they feel about, being in the military, playing in football games and stuff like that. He's a really interesting writer.
Yeah, it's John Feinstein, right?
Or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he's one of the best when it comes to sports stuff, I think.
Yeah. He has his connections are fascinating when you actually listen to it when he speaks about his books, like who he has access to, who he talks to. It's amazing the access he actually has in terms of getting the information to write these books.
Yeah, I would love to have that just for a day somewhere. Doesn't even have to be in sports. Just I just want to have that level of insight into anything ever.
Right. Yeah, it would be interesting just to follow him around, just to, meeting these people, seeing his interviews with these people, because it is quite phenomenal. So,
Yeah, I can't imagine what kind of undertaking it takes to write a book like that. It's just got to just consume your entire life for a couple of years at least.
I think he now writes what I'll call like tween books that kind of have the sports references in them. But as I understand, he now writes like kids' books, but like tween books that deal with issues in sports and growing up and adolescence, because he switched over from a lot of his sports-related books to that. But
probably got burned out.
Yeah, I think when he was interviewed, he was told that his publisher gives him a lot of free range to do what he wants to do. One, because I think he's been very successful doing what he's been doing, but they give him a lot of free range. So, I mean, that's kind of cool, having that ability and creativity to just kind of do your own thing.
Okay, Mr. Smith is now in the waiting room. So, yes, I'm going to bring him back in. Okay, let me make sure everybody can hear me. Mr. Smith, can you hear me? Well, we didn't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I can, thank you. And Ms. Engblom, I see that you're muted, but can you hear us okay?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can, now that you're
Okay.
unmuted. All right, thank you. Mr. Way is here on behalf of Ms. Engblom from the Office of the Prosecutor. Mr. Rosenthal has been appointed to represent Mr. Smith. After a couple of mistries in terms of getting the schedule, we finally have everyone here. Gentlemen, have you, Mr. Rosenthal, Mr. Way, have you had a chance to talk at all? Is there any resolution proposed, or do I just need to move forward and listen to testimony?
Your Honor, we have discussed the case several times, and I think we both agree that the court probably just needs to hear some testimony and make a decision as to both the PPO and the custody hearings to resolve the issues that exist.
Okay, fair enough. So we'll take up the PPO violation first. Ms. Engblom, I'm going to ask you, you've got, we just have an audio connection here. Is it possible to get a video connection, ma'am? Very good. Thank you. Would you raise your right hand, please? You do swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Go ahead, Mr. Way. I'm sorry, state your full name, please, ma'am.
Ashley Marie Reynolds.
Reynolds, okay. Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Way.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Reynolds, you were the petitioner in this PPO file against William Christopher Smith, is that correct?
Correct.
And did you file a motion to show cause Mr. Smith on or about June 19th of 2020?
Yes.
At the time you filed that affidavit in motion, was everything true in it to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
I'm looking at the motion, you reference back on or about May 1st that Mr. Smith was sending you, quote, absurd text messages in the, I can't read the handwriting, but in some app.
Truce. It's the Truce app. It's
okay.
Is what
And
they call it.
Ms. Reynolds, is that the app that that you're supposed to be communicating with regarding parenting issues?
Correct. The judge assigned the Truth app for Will and I.
Okay. And so what kind of messages were you getting from Mr. Smith back in May of 2020 on that app?
I've gotten multiple. The one thing about the Truth app, luckily I printed them off, but the Truth app likes to delete a lot of the messages. But well, besides the 3 pages, he brought up New Year's from, we have a domestic violence from now 5 years ago. He brought that up. He said he remembered fuzzy images of us arguing and you puking. I mean, it is what it is. Let's just move on. It gets taken off Otis in a year and a half. And that is because he attempted strangulation. He should have not have brought that up. That has nothing to do with our daughter, obviously. His girlfriend came to my house as well. I wrote that in there, how she came and harassed me. I had to threaten calling 911 for her to get off my property. I have text messages of saying that Will said that no PPO will work. Will would also contact me on my personal number when it is court ordered. It is not allowed to. Yeah, and he also sent me a prayer, which was kind of odd back in March. Lord, please forgive her. Use me to protect our child from harm, and all the angels in heaven watch over our child in this troubled time. It's kind of weird. He also has threatened my fiance at the time. And he also has sent text messages saying, it may make things a bit easier on you. And I'm sorry for letting my emotional stress have me act a little nutty. So there's
Okay, Ms. Reynolds, what, because I'm not involved in the custody case, obviously. What's your understanding of what communication is supposed to happen and how it's supposed to happen between the two of
Will
you?
is not allowed to contact me unless he contacts me about our daughter, strictly only through the Truth app, not on my personal number. He can't talk about anything else other than our daughter's well-being. But
Okay, and so you mentioned some messages on the Truce app. You provided those messages to me via email, is that correct?
correct.
Okay, and Your Honor, I'm going to attempt to screen share. I did provide those same messages to Mr. Rosenthal maybe about a month ago. You have
Okay.
those correct, Mr. Rosenthal?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. So I'm going to attempt to share some of those so we can look at them, Ms. Reynolds, so you can tell me what I'm looking at. All right, can everyone see this?
Yes, it's on the
Okay.
screen.
Yes, I can too.
Okay, Ms. Reynolds, can you tell me what I'm looking at on this screen right here?
That would be the second page of the text message. He sent me a long one that day. That is what he sent me after he found out that his girlfriend came to my house and harassed me because I denied him parenting time. I said there will be no parenting time today. And that was the end of that. And then about not too long after, his girlfriend comes to my house and is demanding for me to give up my daughter. And I said, court will handle it. You need to get off my property before I call 911. I already told Will, this is between me and him. And I said there was going to be no parenting day, but he still sent her to harass me.
Okay, so is this a regular text message or is this?
That is on the Truth app.
Okay, and how do you know that?
How do I
Is
know
it
that?
different format?
If you can tell on top, it says William Smith, but if you want me to actually send in a copy where it says the Truth, I mean, the judge said that he's allowed to look in the Truth app at our text messages.
Okay, but so you can tell that this is the difference between,
app.
let me, Ms. Reynolds, you gotta let me finish my question. Are you able to tell the difference between the Truce app and just a regular text message?
Yeah, this is what a regular text message would look like. This is him texting me on a regular text message. This is him texting me on the Truth app. There's a big difference. And on a
We
regular
don't, sorry, ma'am, we couldn't see what you were demonstrating.
This is an example of Will texting me on a phone
Hold on,
number.
stop. Can you remove the screen share, Mr. Way, so I can
Yes, I
see
have
clearly what it
examples
is?
of regular text messages, Your Honor, if you want me to.
Yeah, let's do it that way.
Okay, yeah, so Ms. Reynolds, you just we gotta go slow so we can understand all this. So you see the screen in front of you?
Yes,
Okay, and you're saying that is the Truce app messages, correct?
correct.
Okay, now I'm gonna go down. Now this, to me, looks like a more traditional, is this a phone message, text message, or a Truce app?
That's
message?
also Truce app. You can kind of tell it's Truce app. If you look on top, it says W. Smith.
Okay.
That's kind of how you can tell that's Truce app. And also
Okay, and
Truce
now
app,
this screen looks like an iPhone screenshot. Is that correct?
that is correct.
Okay. Okay. So I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. So I'm looking, let me see. So this message right here seems to reference what you were talking about you puking, correct?
That was an incident from 5 years ago. Will got a domestic violence on me from attempted strangulation, and he brought that up. I'm not sure why. That is irrelevant from anything, especially our daughter's well-being. So I'm not sure why he brought up our case from 5 years ago.
Okay, and around this time, I'm just trying to find if there's anything else. And Your Honor, I can provide these too. I did not send them to your clerk ahead of time. But so Ms. Reynolds, was it common for Mr. Smith to include, I guess, a lot of information that wasn't just relevant to your child when he was
Absolutely.
communicating with you over the Truce app?
He would always talk about irrelevant things that were not about our daughter. I have a whole booklet I can send you if needed. So I have a lot from him that a lot of them you can see too. I say, if it was on my personal number, I would say, you need to get a hold of me through the Truth app. And he says the Truth app wouldn't work. And then I still just say, well, you need to get a hold of me through the Truth app. Lainey's doing fine, our daughter. And that's it. But he will still bring on things he shouldn't. That's not about our daughter.
Did he ever make any sort of threatening remarks to you in any mode of communication?
He said that the feds were after me in May. That was a fun one. He said that no PPO will work. He said, I'm not sure why the feds were after me. That was kind of weird. Let's see if that one's in, I think I sent it to you in that one where he did the.
Okay, I just want to, can I ask a couple other questions? Since you filed this petition or this motion for show cause, I know there's been a number of things that have happened to delay things, but has the communication with Mr. Smith improved at all since then? When he's, I guess, not been incarcerated?
The last I heard from Will was in October. He said we had no PPO. I sent you that text message as well. I sent him proof. I was like, hey, we do have a PPO. Get a hold of me through the Truth app. I have not heard from Will since October. I don't know if he's playing nice now because he's on probation with another state. So he's being good now. So I communicate with his mom now when it comes to our daughter. Because if I ask how our daughter is through the Truth app, he won't get a hold of me anymore. So I just ended that. I was like, okay, cool. He won't respond. I don't care anymore. I'd rather get a hold of his mom to contact about our daughter anyway. So technically it has been quiet since October.
Has it been working better communicating about the child with his mother rather than with him?
For now, I don't know how long that's going to last though, because she has a life too. So, but it has been working for like a month or two with just me and grandma communicating. because we don't even use the Truth app anymore, even though the judge assigned it, because if I want to ask how my daughter is doing, he won't text me. Or if he wants to text me, he kind of talks about other things that are not about our daughter. So it's just best we don't even communicate in general.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions for Ms. Reynolds, Your Honor.
Do you have questions, Mr. Rosenthal?
I do, Your Honor. Thank you very much. Ms. Reynolds, you and Mr. Smith have had ongoing parenting time problems, to say the least, for quite some time, have you not?
Yes.
Okay. And you have actually kept this child from him. And in fact, I believe there's a show cause that's going to be held after this hearing, correct?
Yes.
He has filed numerous complaints with the front of the court about the fact that you dictate when and if he's going to take the child. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So when he was making the reference that no PPO will work, are you aware that he was trying to explain to you that a PPO is not going to keep him from his child?
He was actually talking about my husband at the time, my fiance, because he was upset that my fiance served him a PPO. I can find that text message to you actually and read it to you if you want me to. And then
I believe they're all. I believe the court could take judicial. I think they were filed with a PPO, so the court
all the
could look at them.
complaints. Also, I'm going to bring up all the complaints that he sent to a friend of the court are actually invalid. My caseworker said that they should have not have been accepted.
I'm a good object. What your caseworker said is, one, has nothing to do with this hearing, but it's also hearsay. But
well, I kept I kept
hold on. Hold on, Ms. Reynolds. I'm not addressing the parenting time violations until we're done with the PPO violation hearing.
Okay, and what are you asking?
I was asking you that he has filed numerous complaints with the front of the court regarding your violations, his alleged violation, his allegations that you have violated parenting time, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And in fact, he's maintained that you have consistently used the PPO to try to exclude him from your daughter's life.
No.
He hasn't maintained that, or that's just not your belief?
That's not my belief.
Okay. So on May 20th, where you allege certain things happened, you specifically wrote to him, I told Will there will be no parenting time. Is that true?
I
Okay.
texted him saying there would be no parenting time for that day.
And this was this over Father's Day? Or this was not Father's Day?
That was not. It was May 1st.
But what order gives you the right to tell him when or if he's going to have parenting time?
Because I said that the court will handle it, because I heard he was doing illegal things. He was driving my daughter illegally. So that has nothing. That's a whole different case. I did what was best for my child. I said no for the parenting day, and he still set his girlfriend to come and harass me to where I felt threatened or I had to call 911.
But he has a court order that gave him parenting time on that day, correct?
Correct.
And you unilaterally decided he's just not going to have it.
I said there would be no parenting time for that day. Friend of the
Correct.
court will figure it out. So yeah.
So you unilaterally decided he was not going to have it.
Sure. Yes.
And you did that. You did that at least again on Father's Day. Is that correct?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. So you basically pick and choose when he's going to see this child.
I did until court. It was the pandemic. I had to wait until court was open. I said, we can finish this when courthouse is open. I denied him parenting times because I was doing what was best for my child.
Okay,
And then he would also violate his PPO on top of it, come to my house and harass me and bang on my door when that is illegal.
So when you say you're doing what's best for your child, it's what you believe is best for this child, correct? Not what the court decided. As you told him, you would let
Yes,
the court
because she's
decide.
my child, not the court child. She's mine. So I'm doing what is best for my child's safety. And
Is
I
she
said,
not
no,
Mr. Smith's child also? Is she
What
not
was
Mr.
that?
Smith's child also?
when he puts her in endangerment, yeah, I'm going to tell him no and have the court figure it out.
Okay. Has the court ever determined that the child was put in danger?
Well, the state of Georgia did when he got shipped away for 3 months, and that was on a parenting day. But they didn't say no on that day. He got arrested on a parenting day. How does that look as a father?
Well, yeah, crime could be committed 3 years ago. You can get arrested on a parenting time day. I don't know how that matters, but
Well, that matters.
my
big.
question.
Did I get arrested as a parent? No.
My question for you
All
is,
right, hold on. So, Mr. Rosenthal, your questions are extremely argumentative. I realize there hasn't been an objection to them, and they're going afield of what is the issue here. It isn't a question of whether Mr. Smith is justified in choosing to violate a personal protection order. The issue for the court is, did he violate it? Plain and simple.
Okay, I understood, Your Honor. With regard to these text messages that were sent to you and or the stuff on the Truce app, most of these deal with his daughter, do they not?
No. You think him talking about him strangling 5 years me 5 years ago has something to do with our daughter? Really? You think
Well,
about
let me ask you
when
this.
the
When
feds
did
come
that occur?
knocking on Spring Arbor's door like
Hold on, ma'am.
Your reference to him.
I think the answer is simply no. You believe these are beyond having to do with his daughter. We'll save argument for later.
When you referenced the Mr. Smith's statement about remembering fuzzy images, what date did that occur, if you recall?
the day he texted me that, or the fuzzy images? Because that happened on
No.
January 1st.
When he texted you that, or actually, I think when he sent it to you in the Truce app.
When he texted me the Truce app, that was on May 1st of 2020.
Okay, and if you read the whole thing in context, doesn't it also explain the fact that he understands he's done things in the past, but that doesn't justify you denying his parenting time?
We have a PPO on each other. He shouldn't be talking to me about anything. He shouldn't be talking to me about his past or anything. Literally, why do you think I got a PPO? Because I feel unsafe. He shouldn't be talking to me about his past and how he feels sorry and bad. It should just be about strictly our daughter. That is it. What do you not get about that?
So,
What?
with regard to these texts, did he ever threaten you?
Let's see what that one I just found with this. Let's see. But when the feds come a knocking on Spring Arbor's door like they did Pulaski, I know PPO will work then. So who will be standing shaking their head in the end? That will be me. And yeah, those little boys that dropped that off can grow up making my daughter cry. But thanks for giving me the rest and evidence. I appreciate it. Oh, what kind of threat is that? No PPO will work when they come knocking on Spring Arbor's door?
Do you live in Spring Arbor?
I do.
Okay. So what did you live in Pulaski?
My husband was a firefighter for Pulaski, so he was also threatening my fiance at the time.
And your husband has a PPO against Mr. Smith, is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. And these were actually issues that were raised, I believe, earlier, actually about a year ago, correct?
That text message was May 1st of 2020.
I'm talking about issues with you and your husband. These were actually addressed a year ago before the court, or I think in March and January of last year.
What, his PPO?
The issues with the claims of your husband and you.
Will has been harassing not just me, but yeah, my husband for like over a year. I don't like it. Like, I can give you a whole booklet of how much harassment I truly get. Why do you think I got a PPO? It's not, no offense, but I'm tired of coming back. This is like my 6th time Will has like violated the PPO. Like, I can't. What else proof do you want me to give to you?
You indicated that there's not been problems
Send me a letter
since.
in June. Why would you
Hold
send me a
on.
letter in June?
You indicated that there has not been any problems since October.
Yeah, probably because he's on probation in Georgia, so he doesn't want to get in trouble.
Well, I understand you're speculating as to a result of that, but there's not been any problems. Has he been communicating with you at all?
No, he won't tell me how my daughter is. I will text him and asking how my daughter is doing, but he won't. So I said, forget it. So luckily his mom will tell me how my daughter is doing.
He doesn't stop his mom from talking to you, does he?
I don't know.
Well, I mean, she's talking to you, correct?
Yeah, but I don't know if he is liking that or not.
I didn't ask a liking whether or not he's actually stopping her, but she does communicate with you.
Yes, for now, but
Okay.
I don't
And
know.
when you made reference to, I believe, his girlfriend coming to your house, he actually tried to explain that to you, did he not?
Well, I found out Lindsay went to your house when I begged her not to. I apologize. She told me at the time she was going for a walk. Okay,
he
that sure
he-
explains.
so but he claimed he didn't know she was going there, did he not?
Huh?
He explained to you he didn't know she was going there, did he not?
That's kind of funny. How would he not know that when I texted him, no parenting day, thank you, until next time? So I texted him that, and if they're in the same car together and he just said she's going for a walk, why wouldn't they just go home? Why would she randomly go for a walk when we're at the pickup spot for parenting time? That's odd.
Okay. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Any redirect, Mr. Way?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any further presentation, Mr. Way?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, so I assume you want to present your client's testimony, Mr. Rosenthal?
I do, Your Honor.
Mr. Smith, would you please raise your right hand? You do swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do, Your Honor.
Go ahead, Mr. Rosenthal.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Smith, let me ask you first by starting off. Do you have parenting time issues with regard to your child with Miss Reynolds?
Oh, yes. I just filed another complaint for Christmas time.
What is for what? Her denying you the child?
Well, she had her husband strip my child from
You're-
I
Mr.
I
Smith, your
cannot
volume
hear
is not
Mr.
working.
Smith. Check the volume on your phone, sir.
She came and she had her husband come and strip my child from my mother, who was providing childcare while I was at work. Just
Your
because
Honor, I'm going to object as to that. That sounds like hearsay and or speculation. He admitted he was not present.
In Your Honor, actually, I don't
How
agree
is
with that,
it-
but I believe it's an issue
Whoa,
for.
whoa, hold on.
Situation. My daughter
is
was
it- how
taken
is
from
it-
me. I believe I know that.
Hold
not
on, hold on a
speculation.
minute. Hold on a minute. What's the relevance, Mr.
Well, in
Rosenthal?
Your Honor, I wasn't asking for details about that. That's why I said I have no problems with not getting into that. I just wanted to know the basis, and they said the child was removed from him. That's all I wanted to know.
I understand that there are parenting time complaints, which I will hear as soon as I'm done with this hearing. I don't want to hear about any more parenting time complaints in this hearing.
Understood. Mr. Smith, you heard the allegations against you that you have been contacting Miss Reynolds. Is that correct?
Yes, I've heard the allegations.
She claims that you're actually reaching out to her and talking to her about things unrelated to the child. Is that true?
No.
What are the things that you are trying to address with her or discuss with her?
I am just trying to. I can never get a simple answer of yes or no. He dropped off my daughter or anything. I can't get it.
You're fading in and out, Mr. Smith. We can't hear all of it.
When she was alienating her from me, I would all I was trying to do was talk to her about my daughter, and she was bringing up these other things. She brought up when I said I've done nothing wrong, why can't you just give me my child? She brought up and said, do you remember when you choked me? And that's when I brought up the whole conversation that she just read.
Okay. And with reference to her claiming that you were going to send the feds, what was that for?
That wasn't referencing her. That was referencing her mother, who was a Michigan felony fugitive, who converses with my daughter. I don't know if she's ever been around my daughter because she's hiding out in Idaho or something from her felonies. And I've been investigating it. I've been talking with the lieutenant, and I just don't want her mother around my child. She has a felony warrant for 10 years. You know, it's funny she brings up my Georgia thing, but she allows her mother, who's a felony fugitive, around my daughter. I mean,
do you contact Miss Reynolds outside of your daughter?
no.
Do you want to contact her about things other than your daughter? Your volume went off. Your sound went off.
I just don't want to talk to her at all.
Okay. Do you believe you violated the PPO?
No,
Have you not had contact with her since October?
no contact.
Do you plan on having any contact with her?
Until she can talk to me normally, and not try to down me as a father, I'm not going to speak to her at all.
Are you aware your mother speaks to her?
Yes, I impressed that upon my mother to speak to her more so that Ashley knows that our daughter is okay.
Do you have any problems moving forward that way, just having your mother talk to her?
Yes, and I know it's not going to last forever, but yes.
Yes, you have a problem, or yes, you're okay with it going
Yeah, I'm
forward?
okay with it.
Would you prefer it that way?
Yes, we need that. We need it right that way. I mean, I believe that it will be better for our daughter if it's that way, because every time we talk, you know, something else gets brought up, and I'm done with that. You know, I don't want to do this anymore.
There were allegations that you actually texted her rather than using the Truce app. Did you text her?
Yes, I couldn't use the Truce app, and it was on my parenting time day, and I had to get a hold of her because we meet at a place. Well, if I didn't get a hold of her, she wouldn't let me get my child, and she was just, oh, I only can talk to her via the Truce app, so I could only get my daughter if I had a Truce app. Basically, is what she basically put it.
So when you were contacting her via email, what was the problem with the Truce app?
Via just regular text message, but I couldn't. I mean, I had at one point I didn't have a phone. I was using a friend's phone, and then at another point I couldn't download the Truth app on my phone because my phone was messed up.
So because you couldn't use the Truce app, you then reached out via text message.
Yeah.
Did you let her know that you were not able to use the Truce app, and that's why you were doing that?
Yes.
And when you addressed her through these text messages, were you addressing your daughter or issues with your daughter, or were you going on tangents and talking about a life history?
I was just talking about parenting time.
Okay. Is your daughter a concern for you?
Yes, very much.
And when you do talk to Miss Reynolds, do you address issues regarding your daughter other than meeting locations, other than times to meet and stuff like that?
What do you mean?
Your volume's going in and out.
Oh, what do you mean?
Like when you text her, is it a very simple text, meeting at 5:30, or have you tried to address other issues, including the well-being of your child, how she's doing and stuff like that?
It's usually, if she denies me, then on my parenting time I will ask, you know, if she's denying me, it's my parenting time, I will ask her how she's doing, or other things like that. I will ask her, you know, if anything's new with her, you know, normal things about my daughter, and it will turn into some totally other conversation.
And do you believe those communications about how your daughter is doing is acceptable under the PPO?
From how our PPO is gone, I don't believe that we should be able to do that anymore. Well, temporarily right now, but
Okay. Do you believe you violated the PPO?
No, I don't believe I violated it.
I have no further questions, Ron.
Mr. Wake?
Thank you, Your Honor. Just briefly, Mr. Smith, I'm a little confused about what you're talking about with her mother. You said she's in Idaho, or are her warrants in Idaho? You claim that her warrants are in Idaho.
They're in Kalamazoo County, Michigan.
Okay, but her mother lives in Idaho then?
Yes, she's hiding out in Idaho.
Okay, what's your understanding of how long she's been in Idaho?
Well, just looking simply on public record, it says that she's been in trouble for leaving state and leaving Idaho. So she essentially she's been in Idaho since her felonies have started, I believe.
Okay, so she hasn't, and Ms. Reynolds lives in Michigan, correct?
Yes.
So her mother, if her mother is in Idaho, her mother would not be around your child, and there would be no reason to bring up her mother in a message,
Well,
correct?
The thing is, when my daughter was born, her mother said that she was coming to Michigan to stay in a hotel and have
That's not
my
what
daughter.
that's not what I asked, Mr. Smith. I'm asking about
Exactly.
now. That's what we're talking about. She's not around your child now. Her mother is not around your
I
child
don't
now,
know
right?
that. That is speculating. I don't know that.
Okay. You also, you say that your parenting time, or when you were texting her, it was because you couldn't use the Truce app. But it was about parenting time, correct?
Yes.
And have you seen the messages that Ms. Reynolds alleges were inappropriate via text message via her iPhone?
Yes. She has only
Have you
my
seen those
messages, not
messages?
hers.
Okay. You texted her saying that, quote, my uncle was exposed, he's in quarantine, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay. You also said that your next line is then, quote, he got exposed at work at consumers, end quote, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And did you see the messages that I screen shared earlier?
Yes.
And the Truth app? And do you acknowledge sending all those messages?
Yes. She sent messages before that too, which is I was
Okay,
just
and I
answering.
understand that's your position. Now, you were in court back in November of 2019 regarding a violation, and the court just simply warned you, correct?
No, I back in November 2019, I did 5 days in jail.
Okay, Judge LaFlamme did not give you 5 days in jail. He gave you a warning. Do you remember
He
that?
gave me 5 days in jail.
Okay, well, we'll let the
I think
court
I know
record,
if I went to jail.
answer the question. So he also warned you pretty significantly that you were not to discuss anything but your child, regardless of what Ms. Reynolds might say in a message. Do you remember that he gave you? It's a yes or no question. I can't hear an answer, Your Honor.
Yes.
Okay. I have nothing further, Your Honor.
Redirect, Mr. Rosenthal.
Your Honor, I have nothing further.
All right. Any further proofs from either side?
No,
No,
Your
Your
Honor.
Honor.
We're ready for arguments then.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm asking that the court find Mr. Smith in violation. There's clearly a number of messages that were sent that don't relate to his child. I understand that there are significant custodial issues, and I trust that the court will address those appropriately. But we're here on this PPO violation. The reason I questioned Mr. Smith in the way that I did regarding a couple of these messages is because he tries to tie them in eventually to parenting time, I think, but he's clearly using, his daughter as an excuse to ask Ms. Reynolds about other things, to say other things, to bring up things that have happened in the past. A number of different things that the court has made clear to him in prior hearings are inappropriate. He has basically acknowledged the same here today. So I'm asking that the court find him in violation of the PPO. As to whatever punishment, I would certainly leave that to the court's discretion if the court does agree with that sentiment. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rosenthal?
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, I would ask the court to look at the Truth Act for purposes of putting everything in perspective. I think we can isolate certain sentences and say, oh, this is what was said, this is what was meant. But when you look at everything in the totality of the circumstances and look at everything that's been going on and look at everything that's happened, you have an exasperated father here who has been denied parenting time. And I know the court's going to address that issue after this hearing is over. But it's clear from statements even made that was part of the allegations, mom denied parenting time. The claims that, well, dad went off tangent, dad was saying things that were unrelated to child. When you look at everything together, this is an exasperated parent who doesn't know what else to do. He's tried to follow the letter of the law. He's brought up the complaints at the front of the court, but there's nothing else he can do. He tries to explain himself in some of these texts, explaining what happened 5 years ago. Should he have? I don't know if anyone could actually put themselves in that mind frame when they continually get told, you're not seeing your kid. You're not seeing your kid. You're not seeing your kid. That consistently happened in this case. Did he reach out to her? Yes. Did he try to talk to her about the child? Yes. And it's clear in all of those texts. Were there threats? I've read over them. I don't see any threats to her. I do know there was a PPO with the boyfriend. There was a problem with the boyfriend, I believe, when we went into court in March or January of last year. But on the same token, this is a father who is desperately trying to see his child, who has no other means to communicate this woman, who is trying to explain, I've made mistakes. I'm sorry for that. But that is not justification to keep this child from him. He is trying to be involved in this kid's life. He is trying to be a father. And if mom doesn't let that happen, he's got no recourse other than to say, let me, please, and beg. And if you read these text messages, that's what they are. They're him begging to see this child. Could things been done differently? I'm sure in hindsight, we can always say, you know what, things should have been done differently. But on the same token, I would ask the court to deny the violation. As Mr. Smith has requested, maybe his mom have all communications and they don't talk at all. And then if there was any talking whatsoever, now we have a violation. I don't think that's an ideal situation, but on the same token, if it keeps these people from having any contact with each other, maybe that's what's best. And I would ask the court to deny it. And then, you know, when they hear more information about this parenting time disputes, the court will have a better understanding of what's going on here.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. So the court has a long history with this couple. In this particular PPO file, in November of 2019, although I denied the PPO violation at that time, I specifically warned Mr. Smith of the consequences if he continues his pattern of badgering Ms. Reynolds over things that have nothing directly to do with the child. I warned him. In fact, what I recall back at the time, the types of communications were him pouring out his heart as to how he still loved Ms. Reynolds and wanted to be back in her life. She made it clear she didn't want any of those kind of communications, and I warned him. In January of 20, they were back in front of me again. At that time, I found a violation. I sentenced Mr. Smith to 5 days in jail, but I suspended the 5 days. I wanted those hanging over his head because he just didn't quite seem to get the message that he needed to leave this woman alone. They're back in front of me in March of 2020. Again, despite me having warned him twice and held a 5-day suspended jail sentence over his head, he's back in front of me for another violation. I sentenced him to 93 days in jail for those violations. That violation, I don't remember how many there were, but they were certainly sufficient that I needed to do something to get Mr. Smith's attention. So here we are. For violations going back to May of 2020, which was less than 2 months after I sentenced him to 93 days in jail and suspended that sentence, he's at it again. These are violations. They are not limited to concerns about when and where to pick up the child or how is the child doing. They go far beyond that. And they're consistent with the kind of communications that I sentenced him to before and that I warned him about before. And yet here we go again. We're back at it. Clearly, Mr. Smith doesn't get it. I'm glad that he hasn't bothered her since October. Other than the period of time when he was in jail, it's probably the only consistent period of peace this woman has had from him, from his threatening and harassing behavior. And it's harassing, whether he's actually threatening or not. If he's communicating with her about anything other than what strictly has to do with the well-being of the child, he is violating the PPO. I do find a violation. I've got a 93-day sentence already suspended over his head. What more can I do? That's the maximum I can do for a PPO violation, is have him serve 93 days in jail. I'm really reluctant to do that, only because I don't want him to lose his job. He needs to be paying his child support. I don't want to put the mother in that kind of a bind. But how do we get it to stop? I think he needs to serve some time in jail. What's unclear now, and maybe Mr. Way, you can enlighten me on this. I know the jail is very resistant to people coming and going on weekends in these COVID days. Typically, when I've got an employed person and I want them to keep their job, I would, in non-COVID times, I'd have him serve his time on weekends. Is that even possible now?
Your Honor, I'm not exactly sure. I could call over to the jail and pass that information on to both you and Mr. Rosenthal if the court wants to hold off on making a decision on sentencing. I'm not sure. I know that used to be the case, but I'm not sure if it's still the case.
Does it help you
All
as
right,
a warrant for his arrest too for not paying child support? I actually haven't gotten child support in like a year. So there's that. So even though
I don't know how that could be the case if Mr. Smith is going to work every day. There should be a wage withholding order in place.
there is actually, he has a bench warrant for his arrest he actually missed the hearing a couple weeks ago with friend of the court because he hasn't paid child support in months.
All right. I am going to reserve my sentencing decision. I am going to go forward and hear the parenting time complaints.
Your Honor, can I make a suggestion?
Go ahead.
Well, I did serve, it was considered 168 days. I got 2 for 1 down in Georgia. Would you consider any of
now.
consider
Ma'am,
any of
don't
that
interrupt.
time served?
All right. Like I said, I am going to reserve my sentencing decision. I want to get a little more information about what's going on. We do need to move forward with the parenting time violations. I will probably the best thing for me to do, Mr. Way, is to set a sentencing date at some point in the future. Would a week from today be sufficient?
Yes, Your Honor, I can call the jail this afternoon and get all the information the court needs.
Your Honor,
All
I
right,
cannot do it next week.
2
Next
weeks?
Thursday. I can't do it next Thursday.
2 weeks from Thursday?
Yeah, that's fine.
How's my calendar look that day, Shannon?
I mean, go ahead and just put it on there.
So 10:30? we'll set sentencing for 10:30 in 2 weeks. Any information that either party wants to provide to the court to assist in making the sentencing decision, I will certainly receive. But I want to hold off and see what my options are. If Mr. Smith is not paying child support, then my concern about his loss of the job would evaporate. But we'll reserve that. We'll be back 2 weeks at 10:30 to address sentencing. So I want to move on to the parenting time complaints. Mr. Way and Mr. Rosenthal, I'm assuming you haven't been privately retained for the parenting time complaints?
I have not.
Okay, thank you both. We'll just hear from the parties now.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Give me just a moment before we go forward with this. I thought, oh, okay, no, I don't have anything else on the calendar. Okay, I'm going to take just a brief pause, and I'll be back on the bench in a matter of a couple minutes. Shannon, you can take us off the record.
Okay. So are you going to do an order on that? Peter?
On PPO?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can.
I mean, I don't know if he's gonna have you do one. I just want to put on here, in here, if there's gonna be one done.
Yeah, I guess you didn't say anything to me
Yeah, I'll
about
say.
that. Yeah, he's gonna use your,
Oh, right here. Oh, thank you.
no problem. Yeah, I can ask him
Okay.
when he's finished this morning.
Sounds good.
Okay, put us back on the record, please, Shannon.
Okay.
All right, let me make sure I've got all of the parenting time complaints in front of me. Give me just a second. Okay, so let's see. like the most recent is for November 11th. Are there any since then?
Yes.
All right. Well, let me do this. I'm going to put you under oath. I realize I did in the other matter, but it has to show up in this record. You do swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, Your Honor.
State your full name for the record.
William Christopher Smith.
Okay, Mr. Smith. First thing I want to do is just focus on what dates, and then we will go in and address each of the dates. So I've got a parenting time complaint in front of you for November 11 of 2020.
Yes.
Okay. And you said there have been some denials since then?
Yes, one denial.
And when was that?
Well, it's actually two, but it was the 23rd of December.
And what do you mean there were actually two?
Well, the Christmas week that we are supposed to have, she dropped off my daughter because it was my regular parenting time weekend. She dropped off my daughter at 11, and then she came and picked her back up because it was said that my Christmas week starts at 6. Well, FOC said that Christmas week starts at 6 because of the order of the FOC handbook. And she came and picked her up and then dropped her back off at 6. And then she had her husband come and strip my daughter from my mother while she was doing childcare services for me while I was at work. She apparently had called and verified that my week was for Christmas week, and then she kept continually calling them to try to get the answer that she wanted. I'm guessing because she said she called them like 5 or 6 times after that. And her husband called.
I was without getting the details, which I'll ask about. I was just trying to get the specifics. So
All right.
You're telling me you were supposed to have the child for your Christmas week from when to when?
It started from on the 18th. From the 18th until the 26th. And she had her husband come and strip her from me on the 23rd at 3:00. And I have down, which I just recently sent this in, I have down from 12:23 at 3:00 until 12:26 at 6 p.m. when I was supposed to give her back to her.
What happened? Oh, I got you. So you're claiming you were denied parenting time from 12:23 through 12:26.
Yes.
All right, thank you. That's all I was trying to get for now.
Okay.
All right, and then November 11 of 20, was that a weekend? I'm sorry, I don't have a November calendar in front of me.
That was a Wednesday.
Oh, so that's a midweek visit?
Yes.
And you were supposed to get her from
11 to 3, yes.
But you didn't get her at all?
No.
Okay, so let's back up before then. Let's see. Looks like in the sheaf of complaints that I've got in front of me, I've got one from looks like 5/20, 11 to 3. That's a midweek visit. And you were denied your visit for that midweek?
Yes. Didn't we address this all on October 22nd, sir?
I've got so many things in the file, I don't remember. Did we have a parenting time hearing on October 22nd?
Yes, we had a parenting time hearing for October 22nd.
Hold on. Pardon me.
Yeah.
I'm going to pull up my register of actions so I have that in front of me. My apologies, sir. As you might imagine, I hear hundreds of cases, and after a few days, I don't have a clear recall. So I like to have the record in front of me to make sure that what my memory is lacking is supplied by the official court record. So give me just a second to plug in the number. All right, looks like I entered an order. Well, wait a minute. Back in October, so let me find that. Like a couple of orders got entered. So it looks like I modified exchange times. And let's see. And I ruled on objections to the referee's order. Let me find which order that was. Oh, okay. Yeah, that goes back to a recommended order of the referee from May, but I didn't. May 4th, the particular complaint I'm looking at was after the referee's recommended order. Are you telling me there was actually a hearing on this violation already? Because it's not showing up in the record. I can't hear you, Mr. Smith.
There on October 22nd, there was a hearing on 6 months of violations. You went through them all, including my objection. You went through
So
them all.
I addressed the objection and I addressed all of those complaints. I didn't see them in the order, so I don't remember. Ma'am, is that your memory as well? That those have been previously addressed?
I actually don't remember, Your Honor. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I have so many
Okay,
complaints
well,
that I can't really keep track of.
the only parenting time complaints I want to address today, sir, are the ones you want me to address. How's that?
All of them.
Well, Your Honor,
I'm not gonna, yes, ma'am.
I'll say I'm not sure how this works because I just called friend of the court and our caseworker for our actual case. He said that all those complaints that friend of the court got are invalid and those should have never got accepted because Will wrote most of them were longer than 56 days ago. Now, yes, there's a couple probably in like October, November, but the December one too is also wrong. He got that wrong as well because our caseworker as well said that in our order, he doesn't get a winter break vacation. So he actually.
All right, well, hold on a minute. I'm just trying to figure out what I had already addressed. That hearing was on October 22nd. So any complaints that predated October 22nd, I would have addressed on October 22nd. So let me focus on the ones that are after October 22nd.
Your Honor, I haven't received the decision on all them violations from October 22nd. And she was ordered on October 22nd to send me messages that I guess she sent you. You told her to send me messages and she never sent them to me. Yeah.
Actually, I tried. I do remember that now. I actually did send in a copy to the courthouse, so that you should have some copies. But then I tried to send in all the copies that you told me to send in to friend of the court as well. But friend of the court denied mine because they were longer than 56 days. Because I was responding to Will's, but then that's how they caught it. They don't know how Will's got accepted when his was longer than 56 days, but they want to accept mine. So that's why Will never got copies of all my text messages.
All right. So here's what I'm going to do. As to anything that was prior to that last hearing date, I'm going to go back and listen to the record. And if there's anything remaining for me to address from that, I will address it. So what I want to focus on today is anything after that. So the only two things I have after that are the November 11th and the Christmas break dispute. So those are what I'm going to address today. So Mr. Smith, your testimony is that on November 11th, you did not get your midweek parenting time, correct?
Yes.
Your complaint says 11 to 3. but I thought I saw an order changing those times. Oh, I'm sorry. The order changing those times came out a little later, it looks like. Let me verify that.
Well, on December 10th, when we originally were going to discuss this, November 11th, you adjourned it to go along with the PPO contested by PPO violation court date, and because you just didn't have time to see it that day.
Yeah, and I my dates were off. The change. Well, wait a minute. On October 23rd, I issued an order changing the midweek parenting time from 11 to 3 to 10:45 to 2:45. But that's not, your complaint isn't about those specific time frames. Your complaint is you didn't get your daughter on that day, correct?
Correct. And
all right.
And she explained,
I'm addressing that. I'm going to address that today.
Okay. And she explained on December 10th how my daughter is crying for me, and you said that you will change the order to maximize parenting time with the father, because my daughter is crying that she doesn't get to see her dad because
Actually, that's not true.
I want to focus. Hold on. I want to focus right now on this denial. Your testimony is you did not get your daughter on November 11th. Is that correct?
No.
Was any explanation provided to you as to why you didn't get your daughter on November 11th?
Because I was at work. Because I work from 6 a.m. to around 4:30 right now. But
so you were working, but you believe that even because it's your parenting time, then your daughter should still be able to come to your mother's house during that time. Is that what we're talking about here?
It's so I can still video chat with her, so I can still at least see her and talk to her. Because
so when you're working and she's at her mother's, hold on. When you're working and your daughter's at your mother's, you can take breaks from work to call your mother and video chat with your daughter from work. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
All right. And Ms. Reynolds, you acknowledge that you didn't take the child to his house to stay with his mother on that day.
William's mother texted me saying not to drop off our daughter because Will was not going to be there. And then I wasn't sure if Grandma was even going to be there because I didn't want to wait at Grandma's house forever and a half.
All right. Let me stop you. I remember this now.
Yeah, that's where it's a sticky situation.
Okay. So I'm trying to remember where we left off. So I had gotten to this point and it must have been late in the morning. And I said, I'm going to have to finish this up at a later date.
It was late in the afternoon. Yes.
Yeah.
Late in the afternoon. Okay. All right. I do distinctly remember now that was the issue, that his mother contacted you and said he's not going to be here. And she didn't want to watch Lainey on that particular day. That's your version of what happened, Ms. Reynolds.
She just said that not to drop her off because Will was gonna be at work, and I just said okay, but that was it. But my thing is, if I go there, what if Grandma's not there? That's why I don't like the Grandma to be the pickup and drop off spot, because if Will's at work, that's why I get confused when Grandma says, hey, don't drop her off. And then I'm like, okay. And then I get in trouble for it. So that's why I don't know. This whole thing's a little.
All right. So I've got a handle on the November thing now. Let's talk about the Christmas break. And let's look specifically at the order. Let me see if I can find it. Do you happen to have the order, either one of you, in front of you? The parenting time order?
I can grab it, but there's not much to say to it, really. It just has what you put in there. Like, it doesn't say anything about holidays or anything. That's why I had to call a friend of the court. It just has in there like the times, but for that Christmas,
What does it say? Holidays according to the friend of the court handbook? Anything like that?
no, I think it has, nope, it just has the times for like the weekends and our Wednesday times, but it doesn't have technically like our holidays. That's why I called friend of the court and they said to just follow the handbook if it wasn't in there. And I said, okay. But then I called our actual caseworker and she said that it's not in our order. Like when it was Will's Christmas, he did get a Christmas day, but in our order, it doesn't necessarily say that he gets winter vacation with her. Either do I. It's just.
All right. Well, hold on a minute. Let me find the specific order. The one I did more recently only adjusted the times.
Yeah.
It didn't adjust. So I'm looking at a final order entered, it looks like March of 2018. Does that sound about right?
Yep, I have one from 2018, and then the one you just updated.
Okay, so the one from March gives dad parenting time from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Wednesdays and every other weekend from 11 a.m. Friday to 6 p.m. Sunday. Alternating holidays and summer vacation parenting time shall be according to the Jackson County Friend of the Court Handbook. That's pretty clear. So let's take a look at the handbook and see what it says. Christmas holiday break. The parents shall share the minor child's Christmas school break equally, with the parent who has Christmas Day having the first half of the break. Christmas break shall be considered to begin at 6 p.m. on the evening school is dismissed and end at 6 p.m. the evening before school is to resume. So how old is your daughter?
She just turned 4 like a couple weeks ago.
So she's not really in school.
She's not
correct?
even in school. That's why our caseworker said that it's kind of invalid to have winter breaks and stuff.
Well, typically what we do is we follow the school schedule for whatever school district the child resides in, whether the child is in school or not.
This has been explained to her before, Your Honor.
All right, so hold
I'm
on.
just going off what my caseworker told me. I can call her back today and she can send in her paperwork of what she told me, because I'm just going off what I was told from friend of the court.
Okay, hold on. Hold on.
Your Honor, does her husband have the right to come and strip my daughter from
That
child care?
isn't valid. What are you talking?
Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. Whether or not another person
does he have the right to call
or drops
Does your girlfriend have the right to harass
child,
me?
You guys need to be quiet.
What I'm talking about, Your Honor. She just did it again. She brings up something totally different. This is what we just talked about in the PPO violation.
All right, I need you both to be quiet, okay? Give me a moment to look at this thing. So according to the handbook, Dad gets even numbered years Christmas Day. So we just finished an even numbered year. The handbook provides that he should have gotten the child at 6 p.m. on the evening, basically the last day of school. And according to what Mr. Smith has already testified, he did actually get the child on
Friday, December 18th,
December 18th.
Wednesday, December 23rd at 3 p.m.
Hold on. Because he has Christmas Day, he should have gotten her the first half of that break.
Which technically he did, I guess.
I was stripped
But
from
please. But ending, let's see. I know there's another provision that talks about what happens. So the transfer is supposed to occur at the midpoint. The midpoint would have been, looks like Christmas Day, but then it adjusts that based on the holiday. So it looks like mom was supposed to get her back for Christmas Eve. And then return to dad for Christmas Day until 6 p.m. I mean, that's how I would read this. So instead, what happened is the child was picked up on the 23rd and kept for the remainder of the break. Is that what happened?
She got actually dropped off Friday, December 18th, and Will kept her until Wednesday, December 23rd until 3 p.m.
Right.
Got dropped back off Christmas Day, Christmas morning.
So she was at his house, your house on Christmas Day, Mr. Smith?
Yes, she was at my house on Christmas Day.
And then for the day, and then what happened? When did Ms. Reynolds get her back?
She came and picked her up that night at 9 o'clock.
All right. So the issue here is, it looks like she shouldn't have been picked up on the 23rd. Instead, she should have been picked up on the 24th.
Yes. And then.
So we're talking about one day then, correct?
From what my understanding is, though, Your Honor, I get a week, and
you got it for 5 days.
The week.
Oh,
the
ma'am,
week
don't
under
let him talk.
FOC handbook, a week is 7 days. Under FOC handbook, I was supposed to have her from the 18th at 6 p.m. until the 26th at 6 p.m. for my holiday week. But with regards to her Christmas Eve day, it says that, with regards to holidays for the other parent. So I would have to give her to her, but she would have to bring her back that night, Christmas Eve night, because it's still my Christmas week, is what I understood, the way I understand it. Because, and
that's
then
that's how I read it.
Okay.
So she should have gotten her back on the 24th, but she should have brought her back to your home that evening. And it looks to me, if you go from the 18th to the 26th, that's a week. So it looks like you were denied the evening of the 23rd and the evening of the 24th.
Yes.
So I don't have her Christmas
And-
night because that's not what my caseworker told me.
I don't know what your caseworker is going to tell you, ma'am. The reality is, what does the handbook say? Holidays are from 9 a.m. until 8 p.m. The only exception is Halloween.
He got her on Christmas Day from 8:45 a.m. until 9 p.m. Christmas Day.
We're not talking about him being denied Christmas Day. We're talking about him being denied the evening of the 23rd and the evening of the 20th.
I guess my caseworker lied to me. I don't know.
The evening of the 24th. And that looks to be
until the
based on
26th.
the handbook.
So he missed out on a couple hours then. Okay. Then let's.
He missed out on 2 overnights.
Okay.
All right, now let's go back. So Ms. Emblem, I haven't put you under, or Ms. Reynolds, I haven't put you under oath in this case yet. Would you raise your right hand, please? You do swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, and your last name is now Reynolds, correct?
Correct.
All right, and the reason I asked is on your screen, it shows hyphenated Engblom Reynolds. Okay. So you acknowledge that Mr. Smith did not get parenting time on the midweek for November 11th.
Yes,
And that's a situation you previously testified to at a prior hearing, that you got a call from his mother that said he's not here. Don't drop her off.
pretty much, yeah.
Okay. All right. So, and essentially, Mr. Smith, what you were denied was the ability to FaceTime with your daughter, since you were working that day anyway. And I forgot to ask you that. Where are you working, sir?
I work at Hilux Controls.
Is there not a wage withholding order in place for Hilux?
Yes, there is.
All right, so I'm puzzled, Ms. Smith, or Ms. Reynolds, why you're not getting child support.
I don't know.
Puzzled. I haven't got any check stubs or anything, so I don't know if they're exactly taking it out. They should be.
How long have you been working there, Mr. Smith?
Since October 26th or 28th.
All right, so you can't say for certain how much they're holding out, or even whether they're withholding.
I got a notice in the mail that they were withholding.
All right, but Ms. Reynolds, so far, since he's been back to work since October, you haven't gotten any child support from the front of the court?
He owes me $4,000 in child support, if that says anything.
Yeah, you didn't answer my question, ma'am.
No, I do not get child support. I have not gotten child support in a very long time.
All right, I will direct the front of the court to make sure that a wage withholding order gets in place.
He does have a bench warrant for his arrest for failing to appear at a hearing for our child support. So
We'll get to the bottom of that, ma'am. Okay, so typically what I do when there's been a denial of parenting time, whether it was innocent, mistaken, or whatever, if there was a denial of parenting time, the typical remedy is to make up the parenting time. It's hard to make up a Christmas Eve evening with something comparable, but I can certainly make up the number of hours. But before I address that, I want to see, based on Mr. Smith's work schedule, should there be an adjustment of the parenting time schedule for him to get a midweek visit during the day when he's actually working during the day doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Normally, and I'm sure we provided for a midday parenting time based on circumstances that existed at the time. But if he's working, do you work a day shift typically, Mr. Smith?
Yes.
From when to when?
I work from 6 a.m. to 3:30 or 4:30. It's 4:30 right now because we're a little bit behind.
If I were to change the midweek visit from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m., would that work better for you?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Reynolds, are those particular hours in any way problematic for you?
For just a Wednesday or?
Yeah, that's all I'm talking about now is the midweek. If his midweek time, clearly he's going to be working, that's of no value to him or the child. The reason we have a midweek visit is so the non-custodial parent gets to see his child at least every week.
Have a meal.
I work second shift though. I work 2 p.m. to 10 p.m.
Okay, well, we have lots of cases where
testified.
parent,
She picks her up.
please,
Your Honor.
I'm talking, okay?
All right.
But for the
We have lots of times where the custodial parent works an afternoon or evening shift. We just adjust for it. Somebody else does transportation. We figure out a way to make it work.
And what happens if my husband and I are both at work? Who would drop off my daughter to her grandma's house for parenting day?
Who watches your child when you're working?
It depends on the day that I'm working or the person. She either will go to her grandma's house, or if I work like a weekend, my husband has weekends off, or if it's during the day, she will go to daycare.
So right now, when you and your husband are both working, does he work the afternoon shift as well?
He works 12 hours a day, so he leaves in dark and gets home at the dark. So
I got you. So his normal day, he's not home until dark. You have to go to work at 2. So your childcare arrangements are you either take your daughter to her daycare or you drop her off at her grandma's.
Correct.
And
Your
when
Honor.
you say grandma's, would you please stop interrupting me? When you say grandma, do you mean Mr. Smith's mother?
No.
So my child's around a felony fugitive.
What?
Actually, it's a family friend.
Please, you both are extremely frustrating with the amount of times that you interrupt me. You need to stop it, okay? Just stop. I'll give you a chance to talk. Stop interrupting each other and stop interrupting me. Let's have a civil conversation. So my question to you, Ms. Reynolds, is who do you use for daycare when grandma's not available and your husband and you are both working?
It's one of my girlfriends. She helps me babysit my daughter for me if my family friend cannot babysit her.
All right. So you use a babysitter. Do you drop your child off at the babysitter's before you go to work, or does a babysitter come to your home?
I drop her off. Well, it depends on the day. I'll either drop her off or sometimes she'll come here, depending on the shift that I work. Sometimes I do work 6 to 9 p.m. too. I forgot about that. I'll pick up a couple of shifts that are 6 to 9 as well.
So how do we figure out an evening midweek visit that allows Mr. Smith to actually see his daughter at the midweek visit? Do you have any suggestions, Ms. Reynolds?
I would just say I don't know for right now. It's kind of hard with all our with my work schedule, and then his schedule is like first shift, and I'm like the opposite.
Right now, you use Mr. Smith's mother for exchanges.
Yeah.
You drop and pick up your daughter there. Mr. Smith, are you living with your mother?
No.
All right, but you pick up your daughter and drop off your daughter at your mother's house so that you and Ms. Reynolds don't have any interaction, right?
Yes.
Okay. And obviously, Ms. Reynolds, you don't have any real issues with Mr. Smith's mother. The two of you are able to communicate.
Yes.
I mean, is she willing to provide daycare for the period of time between when you need to drop her off and Mr. Smith's able to get his daughter and exercise his evening parenting time?
I'm not sure on that. I don't know on that part.
Mr. Smith, do you think that's something your mother could do, or does she work and have?
She's retired, Your Honor.
Yeah, I hate to put this on her without asking her. Clearly, I'm sure she loves her granddaughter, but she probably also loves her independence too. So she doesn't want to be locked in.
She's right next to me, Your Honor, if you would like to speak to her.
Well, if she's willing to do the daycare on those days, the Wednesday, if Wednesdays continues to work out best, sounds like that provides a solution for you, Ms. Reynolds, on days when neither you or your husband are going to be available to drop her off at the normally the midweek time. We would look when a child is in school, it's usually from after school until 8 p.m. When not in school, it's usually 4 to 8 p.m. If she's willing to provide daycare for that window on days that you need daycare, is that something you could that's acceptable?
Yes.
So would she be willing to pick up our daughter then from like daycare if I drop her off? Because if I have to work, I'll probably drop my daughter off down the road, because like I said, this is why it's iffy. I don't know unless she's home all day, but unless she picks up our daughter, I don't know.
If she's willing to provide the daycare from whenever it is you would normally drop your child off to daycare until Mr. Smith's parenting time begins, is that acceptable? Does that work for you?
I guess we'll have to try it out.
And Mr. Smith, is your mother willing to do that?
Yes, she is, Your Honor.
Let's do that.
So when it is Will's time for our daughter, though, can Cindy pick her up? Because it's always me that's doing the dropping off and picking up. It seems like if it's Will's time, he should come pick up his daughter, or at least Cindy, because he doesn't have a valid driver's license. That's why it's hard too with my schedule and bouncing around. So I don't know.
Well, that's
his house.
You're talking about her picking up your daughter from your house,
or like a public spot or somewhere or something when it's
how does your daughter get home at the end of her parenting time?
Depends on the day. I guess it depends on if I'm working or my husband's working, or it kind of just...
But you or your husband pick her up. That's what I'm getting at. Nobody ever picks her up from your house. Nobody ever drops her off at your house. You're doing all the transportation.
Yep. I shouldn't have to drop her off since I have to pick her up.
I hear your concern. And Mr. Smith, you don't have a driver's license, so that's not possible for you to be doing transportation.
I do have a driver's license.
Oh, I thought I remembered that was the issue.
No, that's not.
The issue is you being, the issue is you being at Ms. Reynolds' residence. That's the problem.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification. And Ms. Reynolds, you don't have any problem with Mr. Smith's mother dropping or picking off. You just don't want Mr. Smith at your home.
No, prior to the PPO though.
Mr. Smith, that's a lot to ask of your mother, to be imposing on her to do.
In a public spot or something when it comes to, because technically it is Will's time. Like I said, I shouldn't have to drop her off and pick her up.
It's our daughter's, as it says in the handbook, Your Honor, it's our daughter's time.
I hear that.
It's not just mine. She should, my mother really shouldn't have to just go pick her up. We don't live that
well, you have your
10 miles away.
All right, you're talking to each other again. As long as this PPO is in place, and Ms. Reynolds, you want the PPO to remain in place, I don't see any other reasonable way of doing it. I can't impose on a third party to require them to do pickup and drop-offs.
We did that before, though. We had a third party because before we met at Grandma's house, we used to meet at the police and fire station. But now that's not a thing. I have to now do more work at my end because at the time when you changed the time, because Will didn't have a license, we couldn't meet somewhere. So he had his girlfriend drop him off and because of the PPO at Grandma's. But now it's kind of hard having Grandma's house our place because I don't know if he's actually
so Ms. Reynolds, I can fix that. I can provide that Mr. Smith needs to return the child each time after his parenting time ends. We'll have you responsible for drop off. You'll do the drops at his mother's, and he will be responsible for return, but the return will occur in a safe place.
Okay.
And I don't remember where you folks live. One of you in Jonesville? You didn't come through, Mr. Smith. Say it again.
I'm in Jonesville.
And I know there's a state police facility right in Jonesville. Does that work for everybody?
I live closer to Hanover than Jonesville.
Yeah, Jonesville is kind of far. I live in Spring Arbor, unless we just.
I got you. So Jonesville, even though there's a Jonesville address, that's not really. So what else is there? Where did you do it before?
Well, that was before. No, it was kind of hard. We did at the police station, fire station in Spring Arbor, or at the post office as well.
I'm just trying to think what other fire, a staffed fire department or public safety office. Spring Arbor is probably the closest one.
But that puts me in violation of a PPO, Your Honor.
I'm going to say.
I can modify a PPO to
You'd
allow.
have to modify her husband's PPO because her husband works there.
Oh, he works at that office?
He's not there all the time, though. That's the thing. If he chooses to go on a call, he's not going to go on a call the day that we're doing parenting pickup, though. So he's not there 24/7, especially on parenting days. He stays away, obviously, due to PPO. But we can meet at the post office. It's right next door to the fire station. Or I guess since this is taking forever, we'll just have to do the 5 to 8 on Wednesdays. Make it stay at Grandma's and we'll just test the waters out. And if it doesn't work out, we'll just have to change it.
All right. Well, let's at least try that. I don't have the other PPO in front of me, so I don't know what that says. I realize Mr. Smith should be doing half the transportation. I agree. That's fair and reasonable. But if you're both comfortable with the post office, we could use the post office. That's the Spring Arbor Post Office?
I mean,
I'm not-
obviously I am, but
I'm not comfortable with that
he's not.
And you're not comfortable with it? Why, Mr. Smith?
because it's in this basically the same parking lot as the fire department. I'm basically just putting in me. Why is there a PPO? I've never met this guy. Like, I don't know what he looks like. So that just puts me.
It's your daughter's stepdad, so obviously you know who she is, or he is.
All right. Well, Ms.
So,
Reynolds is willing to give a try. We're
I'll
going to
give it a
move
try at
the,
Grandma's house for now.
we're gonna move the midweek parenting time to after school or 4 p.m. until 8 p.m. So you need to have Lainey back to her to your mother's in time so she can be picked up at 8 o'clock. I will issue that order. It's clear to me that Mr. Smith was denied 2 overnights, regardless of why he was denied the 2 overnights. I think he's entitled to have those 2 overnights made up. So I'm going to order that. Best time to do that is to tack it on to a weekend, if that's possible. I will issue an order to that effect. I will reiterate to both of you, Mr. Smith, I'm glad at least that since October there hasn't been any more of these communications. If that's what's working for you, that you guys don't talk, that you work through your mother, let's keep using that until we can get a point where the 2 of you can put all of the past behind you and begin to communicate solely for the welfare of your daughter. I realize we're not there yet. I don't know if we'll ever get there. I would sure hope for Lainey's sake that we can someday. There clearly is a lot of emotion surrounding the 2 of you. I get that. I'm not putting blame on one or the other. I'm just saying there clearly is a lot of emotion. I hope you can learn to get past it. That requires both of you to change. Resist the temptation to get in the dig, to say something that offends, to say something that sends someone else off. Think of your daughter. Put her foremost. I will issue an order reflecting this today, and we'll see you back in 2 weeks to see what I'm going to do about the PPO. And I need to close this hearing.